here. And we have about 60 seconds to go, ladies and gentlemen, and we will get this call underway. You're on Millionaires in Training, the Monday Night Leadership Call for Zeta International and the entire global organization. Welcome. Let's take a few more introductions. Go ahead.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Maybe it's Valerie Royce from Gloucester, Virginia. Maybe not. Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay, we are at the bottom of the hour, and it is time to launch this call. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of our team members from around the world, wherever you're calling in from. And as always, a special and warm welcome to all of our guests online tonight. You are on the Millionaires in Training call. This is a leadership call that we do each and every Monday for the team here at Zeta International to assist people in building their business with the philosophies, the habits, the disciplines, and all of the other components that are required to develop a successful business at a high level. Now, this is a call where we talk about the types of things that lead to a six-figure annual income. And for some now in Zeta, a six-figure or multiple six-figure monthly income. And of course, many people, in fact most people, would be quite happy and satisfied with a good part-time income of a few hundred to a few $1,000s per month on a part-time basis. That can easily be done just marketing the Zeta product, sharing the Zeta products with others, and of course having those results get around through word of mouth. But when it comes to developing a large team in network distribution and building a global organization, or even a strong national or even a strong local organization, obviously there's a little bit more required, and that's what we discuss on this call. If you're a guest online tonight, welcome. This call can be for you also if you've got dreams, goals, and aspirations that you want to see realized. If you have questions regarding the product, those will be answered probably by the person who invited you, or most certainly when we do our product-centered call, which is done every Wednesday, and we do that call with the formulator of the Zeta National Products. I did forget to mention, my name's David Moses. If you have not yet met me, I'm an independent distributor with Zeta from Toronto, Canada, speaking to you from my home office right now here in Toronto. And in fact, just waiting for our formulator, the formulator of the Zeta products, Russ Bianchi, to show up tomorrow in Toronto. He's currently in Montreal, and they had upwards of about 300 people that they did presentations and training for surrounding the products. And so tomorrow he'll be here, and on cities here in Ontario. Now, one of the big questions that people have, and it's an appropriate focus for tonight, as this is kind of really the first week where people are back into the full swing of the new year. This is really, for many, considered the first week. It's Monday, we're past New Year's, and people getting back from vacation, kids going back to school, and so forth. Is people want to get started on the right foot. They want to get started with the right rhythm, with the right focus, and the right activities, the activities that create the results that lead to the types of success that people want. And I want to frame it up that it's not just about the success, and it goes beyond earning money. We we talk about money because I think money does solve a lot of problems. There's no question. And when we have the resources, when we have the freedom, when we don't have the stresses, when we don't have the bills, and we don't have the debt, we can do a lot to help others. We really have the ability to contribute to the success of others, to contribute to our community, and so forth. And that's really, that should be, some of the, I guess, it should be the final piece when a person's achieved success. And of course, the first piece is that we want to secure ourselves, secure our family, secure our children. Well, everything I believe, and through the training that I've had, and the mistakes I've made, really gets down to a simple concept of time management. Granted, there's a lot of skills that we need to learn, and we need to master those skills and practice those skills, get better at those skills. Maybe the skill of inviting another person, of presenting to another person, of handling or answering concerns that other people have or questions that they have. And, everybody's going to develop and hone their skill sets if they're practicing, if they're doing the good things. But in the end, I think the most important part is time management. We ask the question, what is the difference between a person who's making $10,000 a day than a person that's making $100 a day, or $500 a day, or $1,000 a day? What is the difference between that person in Zija who's making $50,000 a month versus the person who's making $500 a month? What is the difference? Well, granted, skill is a component of it, but skill can be augmented by a person putting a little bit more time in. So, as an example, if a person is extremely good at presentation and they talk to 10 people and book eight appointments and sponsor 5 people, and they do that, over the course of a week or a month, well, I may be able to equal what they do or surpass what they do by doing more presentations. I mean, if I'm getting only, 4 people responding to me, well, then I just need to multiply the number of presentations, the number of people I'm talking to bridge that difference between the disparity of skill. But what it really comes down to is time and the focus of time. When I'm working with people and training people, it becomes pretty obvious that people who reach higher levels of success have mastered the ability to manage time. Because in the end, we get up in the morning and we all have the same amount of time, generally speaking, to invest in our business. Now, okay, some of us may have full-time jobs that we do. Others may be full-time in Zija. But there are leaders in Zija who are top income earners that do this business part-time. And I mean that because they actually have several other businesses, hobbies, and other things that they are managing during the day while they are doing their business. I mean, I can speak for myself. Zija is certainly a primary focus for me, but I do have other businesses that are running simultaneously, and they do require a certain amount of attention. And so, how's that done? Well, obviously, managing time, learning how to delegate. Delegate or stagnate. We often hear that. A lot of people look at, as an example, the One Team Worldwide website, and I get compliments, and people think, oh, that's a great video, and that's a nice piece, and that's really good. And people think I'm a great internet marketer. Well, the fact of the matter is I don't know anything about the internet. I have an assistant. That assistant works with me, and Alan was here at the house yesterday. We spent a half a day working on the creation of a whole new set of videos, and he got all the cameras set up and the lights set up and took the video, okay, I shared content on the video, but he did all of the engineering, and now we'll go upload it onto YouTube and upload it onto the website. I've never uploaded a video onto YouTube ever, not one time. I wouldn't even know how to do that. Okay, so I don't have that skill. I don't have that expertise. I don't know anything about it. And so what we're really talking about here is time management. The point that I want to make on tonight's call is that when we really grasp this concept of time and how to manage our time and how to put a certain focus in a certain area, we can excel very, very quickly in this business, relatively speaking. And so I want to try to cover a couple of points on that would be relevant. The first thing, okay, number one, is to understand what the most productive activity that you and I can be doing on a day-to-day basis to reach our desired goal. What is the desired goal? The desired goal, obviously, if a person is in Zija or in network distribution, if their desired goal is to build a team, is to have a residual income, is to have time freedom, then the number one activity that a person can be doing or should be doing or must be doing is exposing new people, talking to new people, presenting to new people. Okay? Period. That's it. Okay? We are in the recruiting mode permanently. I am always in the sponsoring mode. I am always in the recruiting sponsoring mode. Even today, with an organization that's now close to 140,000 plus people, 142,000 people, I am still intensely focused on sponsoring new distributors, sharing the vision, sharing the dream with others. Okay, that I haven't lost one bit of focus in that area, even though I've been here at Zija for 5 years. I'm still focused on that. Why? Because that is the main thing. That is the number one most productive activity that I can be doing at any given moment in time to advance the business. Even this conference call right now, it is a training call, yes. There's no question it's a training call. But it's a training call that's focused on what? It's focused on sharing a couple of concepts on keeping people focused on the main thing, which is sponsoring. So if this call is successful, then we're going to have a lot more core leaders that are just tuned up a little bit better, are a little bit more focused, or a little bit sharper in the area that counts the most. And that is sponsoring, enrolling, and bringing new people on board, whether they be customers or whether they be business builders, doesn't matter. We're constantly bringing new people. Why? Because we're in the people business. We're not in the sales business. We're not in the business of selling product. We're in the business of sharing to develop more customers, to develop more business builders. So the main thing, okay, and I used to have a sticker on my computer, in the old days when we had those big tube-type screens. It almost seems like, in a past life, when it wasn't really anchored into subconscious. It was not yet unconscious competence for me. I used to have a Post-it note with, marker on it, so I would always see that little reminder that I must do the most productive activity at any given moment in time. In other words, I don't want to get defocused on busy work. I don't want to get defocused on utilizing areas of time that don't lead to the end goal. I don't want to learn how to upload a video to YouTube. I just simply don't want to learn that. I don't want to, and the reason I don't want to learn it is because there are other people who are experts in that area and I can get them to do all of that work for me, and I pay them a little bit of money, and it's very worth it, because with the little bit that I pay, relatively speaking, the time freedom that I have to focus on the main thing, which is introducing new people, bringing new people, advances business. And so when I look at what I do with the time that I have on a daily basis, it is totally focused on one thing. Period. Sponsoring and recruiting. Okay? Sponsoring and recruiting. It is totally focused on that goal. And so, let's talk a little bit about this concept as it relates to the 80-20 rule. Okay? And all of us have heard the 80-20 rule, and I want to go over it again as it relates to production, and go over it again as it relates to managing time. Because the 80-20 rule works for both time management and production. Okay? Here's how it goes. As we all know, 80% of the people at any given moment, whether there's 10 people in a person's group or 10,000, 80% of those 10 people, or 80% of those 10,000 people, or 80% of 100,000 people, it doesn't matter. The ratios never change. 80% will produce 20% of the production of the results. Okay? We all know that. Okay? That's just a fact of life. It's a universal principle. It's like the law of gravity. It is a law. You jump off the building, the law of gravity says that you will go straight down and land on the ground. And the 80-20 rule is a law, just like that. Okay? You can't change that ratio, but you can learn to work with it. And so 20% of the people actually produce 80% of the results. Okay? And so when we look at the leadership in ZJ International, we can see that there's about 20% of the most active, productive distributors who are at the level of Emerald or Diamond, the Chairman's Club. Okay? Because out of the entire base of people that are in ZJ, most people are just customers. They're just customers. But out of the ones that are building the business, the 80-20 rule is alive and well. And so what we need to learn to do, each of us, you and I, we need to learn how to work with that 80-20 rule. Okay? When I am spending time, investing time, because there's only so much time, I need to be able to know where to say yes and when to say no. I always say yes to working with the 20% that produce 80% of the results. If I'm working with the core leadership in the business and helping them develop success, and I'm also working with brand new people, which is an absolute key area to work because that's the new blood, then I am helping create the foundation for more people that will be part of the 80%. That's how we end up with a big organization. Okay? Okay, so now let's just flip this around. When we're talking about time management, managing our time, and that's really the only difference between people at the highest levels of success is they are getting the maximum leverage, the maximum production, the maximum of everything within the same period of time. Right? They've learned how to delegate, they've learned how to surround themselves with great people and so forth. But as it relates to our business, it works like this. The 80% who produce 20% of the results are constantly pulling on us to chew up, or to, maybe that's the wrong word, but to occupy or to demand 80% of our available time. Let me repeat that. The 80% of our group, whether there's 10 people or 10,000, the 80% are taking up or trying to take up 80% of our available time. And the 20% that are producing 80% of the production are then left with only 20% of our quality time. And so the seasoned leader, the person who's really got their focus in the right place, has learned how to work with the 80% that produce 20% so that they have 80% of their available time for the 20% that produce 80% of the results. Okay? Now, hopefully that's not a tongue twister, but the people that are going to produce the highest results that I'm working with, I give them 80% of my time. Right? I give them the best quality time that I can. On the phone, in person, and so forth. And what I do, so that I can contribute and work with the 80%, is I work with the 80% who produce 20%. I work with the 80% in group format. Group format are like conference calls like this, or the Wednesday call with Russ, or a large meeting or an event. Now I need to frame this up a little bit. That doesn't mean to say that the 80%ers don't have the same value as the 20%. Actually, it's kind of opposite, believe it or not. The 80% who produce 20% are actually the foundation of the entire company. Without the 80%, the 20% don't have a business. So the 20%ers may be people who are providing leadership, but their success comes from the 80%. Now, I know that's a little bit confusing, but, well, let's take a look at it. There's 140,000 people in my business worldwide, right? 100,000 of those people are mostly customers. They're not doing the business. You know, they're mostly people on auto ship or buying product once a month, once in 2 months. And they love the product in ZJ, but, you know, they're really not building the business. That's 80% of the business. And without that 100,000 people buying product, we don't have a company. So they are the most important people in the business. Right? The 80%ers. Out of the 40,000 that's left, 80% of them are part-time people who are doing ZJ on a part-time basis, moving towards full-time, and 20% of the 40,000 are moving towards full-time, and within that 20% is the 1% or the 5% that are the leaders that are going to be the top 10 and the top income earners of the company. And so time management, there are several concepts, several philosophies, several components of it. And the key thing as a leader, as someone who's moving up the ranks, is to understand those basic concepts and principles, because the principles never change. Ladies and gentlemen, they never change. You can't change them by force. We need to learn to work with them. So let me give you an example. A person calls me up, and if I left my phone wide open, people would be calling me all day with questions like this, right? Do you know the phone number of customer service? How much is a box of this product, right? Where do I find this document, right? Do you know, like, how the compensation plan works like this? Or is there a meeting in Montreal this past, yesterday and tonight? Where is the meeting in London, Ontario, or in North Bay, which is coming up, right? What's the conference call number? Okay, so questions like that if I allow those questions because I want to be courteous and I leave my phone open for those types of questions, I am now utilizing and chewing up time, which burns, by the end of the day, hours of time doing things that are not productive. Not only they are not productive, but they are, if I'm saying yes to someone to answer questions like that, then what am I doing? I am saying no to people who have a three-way call with a brand new person on the other line. If I say yes to talking to someone about something that they could find out from the website, then I am saying no to the person on the team who's got a three-way call with a new prospect and needs some questions answered so they can sponsor that new person. And that is the subtlety that makes the difference between those that build a dynasty and those that are very busy working, but doing mostly busy, non-productive activities. And so what we need to do is to gently guide the 80% to take responsibility and ownership of their business and their success and go find out those questions that are very easy to find out without having to phone someone because it's easy to phone somebody, right? They can go to the website, they can find out. So sometimes I'll get with an up-and-coming leader, someone who's on the rise, somebody who's just getting started, and they haven't really mastered some of these concepts, and they will say to me, oh, David, what's the conference call number? And I'll say, I'm not telling you, right? And in a nice way, of course. And they say, and then they figure it out for themselves, oh, I'll go to the website and get it, right? And what I'm really doing when I do that is I'm teaching them to basically take ownership of those things, but I'm teaching them to teach others so that they are investing and spending time in the things that create the results in terms of business building activities. And this is what separates core leaders from the masses. This is what is one of the biggest areas that creates the difference between those that go to the top and those that don't. It's not so much skill as it is focus. And I say that to you because there's lots of people that are pretty rough around the edges that are top leaders in Zija in terms of areas that they need to refine. I was certainly one of them in the early years. But they've learned to do one thing and one thing only, and that's focus on the main thing and the main thing only, and they're always on the main thing, and they're never off the main thing, and that's the only, you can't move them off the main thing. They're constantly in sponsoring, recruiting, business building mode, event promotion, three-way calls, conference calls. They don't come on a conference call like this without a guest. What's the point? To hear a few more training tips? Well, that's good. It's not a bad thing, but it's a lot better to have earplugs in and have a guest on the line. If you have a choice to listen to me or bring a guest and put earplugs in and not listen to me, it's better to put earplugs in and have a guest on the call. My ego might say, oh, I'd like you to listen to me, but from a business building standpoint, guests would be the main thing, right? So, and I'm just giving an example, right? It's not a literal statement, it's more of an example. And so when we're all building our business, when we're all moving forward, we should always be course correcting, resetting our sail so that we're focused on the main thing, and we are constantly adjusting and delegating and leveraging so that we're giving 80% of our quality time to the 20% that produce 80% of the results. As I get busier and busier, as I am now, as the company is growing, I can only there's a lot of places that I can't be anymore that I used to be available. I used to be available in a lot of places that I can't be available anymore. The same thing with Rod Larson. I used to be able to spend a lot more time talking to Rod. I can't spend as much time talking to Rod now, or the company, because they're busy doing bigger things in new markets and other places that require 80% of their time. Right? And so all of us have to refocus our time and what we're doing within that time, regardless of the size of our team. And as long as we're focused on the main thing, which is introducing and sponsoring new people, we will become successful. And that is also a law, as much as anything else. The difference is who will actually do it versus who will say, hey, that's a great concept, but not implement it. Go back to old habits. If you're new on the line tonight, I know this was more of a conceptual call than a call on product focus or the company or who's behind the company and how we get compensated and so forth. Don't worry about that. You'll get those questions answered. There are some great leaders on this line tonight. I heard them during the introduction. Many of the people that are responsible for taking Zija to 125 million, 130 million in annualized sales, the same people that will push this company to 200, 250, $300 million this year, they will show you everything that you need to know to become part of the team. They will most certainly get your questions answered, and they will get you plugged into our product call on Wednesday with Russ Bianchi. Now, no, Russ is at in Toronto tomorrow, and then in North Bay on Wednesday, so I have to see. He'll have to maybe walk out of the meeting, or I don't know how it'll go, but we'll make sure that it all works out. So if you're new on the line, welcome to the call. Pleasure to meet you by conference call. And for all of our team members, wishing you a fantastic week, the first week of 2013. And let's get focused on the main thing. Part of which, by the way, would be following up on all the people that received product from our new Zija Fit Pack program. There's about 18,000 of those units out in the marketplace right now, and those people are waiting for phone calls to get their questions answered. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great evening, and with that, the lines are open.
Alexander, New York, New Jersey. Thank you, David. I'm David. I'm in Sweden.